Talking cricket now on the SportsMax zone, the West Indies must beat Zimbabwe in their ICC T20 World Cup qualifier on Wednesday morning Caribbean time in Australia to remain in contention for the Super 12 phase of the tournament. The Caribbean men find themselves on the ropes early after Monday's 42-run loss to Scotland in their opening qualifier. The Scots were sent into bat and posted 160 for 5, with opener George Munsey blasting 66 and Callum McLeod adding 23. Alzari Joseph and Jason Holder took 2 wickets each. In reply, the Windies were dismissed for 118 of 18.3 overs. Holder top scored with 38, while spinner Mark Watt took 3 wickets for the Scots. Jason Holder was sent to do some interviews after the game. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, obviously we had a tough start yesterday. We're all disappointed with the performance that we had yesterday. But I think the most important thing for us to do is to come together, even tighten out and try to find solutions. We had a pretty good chat yesterday after the game, and I'm sure guys went into their rooms and reflected on the performance yesterday. And no doubt, I think we have what it takes to turn it around. And it's more or less, we just hitting the ground running against Zimbabwe and starting that game well and beating them. Look, we've got to find solutions, man. We obviously didn't bat well yesterday, and we probably let ourselves down with the bat in the recent past. I think we just got to be a little bit more situation aware and trying to build partnerships. Partnerships is the key in any cricket game. I think the situation in the game will determine, how we play. And if that requires that we go for boundaries, then we look for boundaries. But if it requires that we have to knock it around for a bit, then we've got to adjust and make that. Well, we've got to make the adjustment and then knock it around. I think it's that simple, and we just need to understand what's required of us when we go to bat, and just try to find ways to form partnerships to make it easy as we go on in the tournament.
Heard it all before.
I'm not blaming Jason. Jason just has to. There you go. Let me start it this way, Leighton. Notwithstanding the form of the West Indies in all forms of cricket, and against the background of them being 2-time T20 world champions, they've been semi-finalists. They've been quite good in the T20 World Cup since the tournament started. If I said to you that in a match that would help them to get into the main part of the T20 World Cup, that Scotland set the West Indies 160 runs.
8 runs and over.
And the West Indies couldn't do it. Would you believe me, Leighton Levy?
With this current iteration, yeah, I would, because this West Indies team, for me, continues to live up to my expectations, in the sense that you heard Jason Holder in the full interview. He said that they need to be more match aware. This is something that we all talk about. You lose a couple of wickets, you buckle down, you change your strategy, rotate the strike. 6 runs and over keeps you close until you can hit out near the end if it becomes necessary. Because there are times when you get a loose ball, you can hit for 4, you can hit for 6. So that rotation gives you an opportunity to score 8 runs and over relatively easily. What we've seen from this team time and time again is that the minute they get into trouble, you would think that a light goes on in somebody's head and they say, listen, okay, we need to build a partnership here before we do anything else. But they come out and it's like nothing has changed. It's like we don't lose 4 wickets in the first 10 overs. So let's just continue to play the way we want to play and hit ourselves out of trouble, which almost never works anymore because teams have gotten used to us. They know what we like to do. They try to prevent us from doing it. But the players don't seem to have an understanding of that adaptability that is required in circumstances like this. Because you can lose a wicket. Some of the balls are really good ball. It takes 1 ball to get a wicket. So you lose a wicket. But at the same time, you have to show the ability to adapt to those circumstances and say, how do I adjust? What is the plan B or plan C? And then progress from there. But these guys don't seem to be able to have, well, they certainly don't seem to have the skill sets necessary, mentally I'm talking about, not necessarily physically, to say, okay, we're in a bit of trouble. How can we get ourselves out of this without trying to hit out? Because teams are expecting us to do this. So if somebody said that to me in this current era, I would say, yeah, I expect this. Because I can tell you, I knew this match was going to be bad from the first over we bowled. When
Kyle
Mayers went for 9 and then he went for, I think it was 15 in the next over. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Because one of the things that I've seen with this West Indies team time and time again is that the minute somebody pushes back at this team, especially a minnow, I use that term very loosely right now because we are right in that category. We are a minnow. The mindset collectively, it seems, goes to a panic mode and then everything falls apart.
Well, here's the thing. For a few years now, we last won this World Cup in 2016, so 6 years ago. For a few years now, it has been said of the West Indies in cricketing circles that, listen, the West Indies as a batting unit, it is well within their capabilities to hit 2 sixes, but they can't make 6 twos.
Exactly.
They can hit 2 sixes, they can't make 6 twos. That's a damning indictment.
Yeah, and you saw a living example of that in the match against Australia. I think it was the second T20 match,
yes.
the warm-up match. Johnson Charles is batting and he hits balls into these huge gaps. And instead of taking 3, they take 2. They hit balls into huge gaps on the leg side. They're easily 2 runs. And you hear the commenters, they're familiar with the field. You see for yourself that it's an easy 2 and they take a single. So they're denying themselves an easy 20-25 runs of singles just to rotate the strike without hitting out. And then what it is do, it gets out by trying for an impossible shot and it goes sky high and it gets caught. It's like the only thing they can think about doing is trying to hit a 4 or a 6 instead of just doing practical thing, changing the angle, pushing the ball into a gap, running a single, running a 2, depending on the space that's available.
Here's the thing. Cricket is fundamentally the same. As it was, meaning that it hasn't changed. It's not a changed thing now compared to what it was before. So here's where I'm going with this. Phil Simmons never played 10 to 20 cricket. All right? So if Phil Simmons never played 2020 cricket and Phil Simmons is the coach of this 2020 team, it must be that notwithstanding him never playing the game, there's something he can impart about preparing for the game and then executing what you prepared to do in games, which causes him to be retained as a T20 coach. Work with me now. So then, how then can Phil Simmons, as the coach who's helping us prepare for the game and then play the game, come and say that the batsmen were unprofessional in their batting? Whose job is that to ensure that they're not unprofessional in their batting?
Exactly. He's the guy who puts together the plans. He's the guy who puts together the ideas about how to play professional cricket. So if their failure is actually his failure as coach, because as you said, he's the one who prepares them to play these games. And if they're not going out to execute the plans as they prepared, then it falls on him.
And because especially, look, Phil Simmons is not teaching anybody how to score a cover, to play a cover drive.
Right.
You're not teaching Cottrell how to bowl a Yorker, or Hossain how to spin, or Jason how to bowl outside off stump, bounce under the batsman's armpit. That's not what he's doing. You are strategizing. So if persistently we can't make 6 twos, and we can only get runs if the team is stupid enough or disinterested enough on the day to allow us to hit multiple 6s, something is wrong.
Yep. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword in that I think, the onus is on the coach to prepare the team, and of course a lot of it falls on him. But individually,
I'm not absolving them, Leighton.
No, I'm not saying that you are. What I'm saying is that these are guys who go out and play T20 cricket across the world in the different leagues. They see players who are at the top of their game play the game. Are you telling me that they're incapable of learning from what they're seeing happening in front of them?
Yep.
And that's the thing that frustrates a lot of the West Indies fans.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they're playing in a bubble somewhere in the dark, somewhere in another region where nobody sees them or they see nobody. They are playing again with the best players in the world. And you are telling me that you learn nothing from their experience.
We have to, but I have to say this, and it's because of, look, on one hand, it makes no sense to call for a new coach. But on the other hand, I can see why people call for a new coach, because they're saying, but these players, the same point you just made, these players play with their other players in the same leagues. So if they can't make the adjustment, if the person employed to get them to adjust can't get them to adjust, get someone else who can get them to adjust. We adjust to a break. I'm frustrated.
Yeah, it doesn't work.